What's going on, guys? Chris from AutoAcademics here, and we have made it to vlog number 3 of my sim racing setup. And as the title says, I'm here to tell you that this setup doesn't work. Now, allow me to explain. You guys know that I've had this Playseat racing rig seat since the beginning. I've had it for many years and it has worked fine. The problem is my new components with this old rig, they just don't match up that well. So first what I'll do is I'm going to show you guys my pieces, how they're all set up, and then I'll go into why this rig doesn't work. So for starters, we'll start down here at the very bottom. We have my Fanatec Clubsport V3 pedals. These things are fantastic. They're totally different than the other pedals that I had before. These are much more realistic. As I've said a number of times now, they've got a load cell brake pedal, which gives you a nice strong pressure feel when you push on the brake, and it adds all the realism in the world. From there, we move to this Fanatec shifter. This thing is fantastic. It's both an H pattern as well as a sequential shifter, and it mounts up fantastic to this Playseat rig. It is, well, I had to get a Playseat, a special Playseat Pro adapter or shifter mount for it. The old mount that I had with my old Fanatec shifter, the little Porsche 911 shifter, just wasn't sturdy enough, and this big thing couldn't mount on it. So what I did was I got that new Playseat Pro shifter mount, added that to the rig, and then my Fanatec shifter was able to mount right on it, and it is solid. The sad part is it's probably the most solid part of this entire rig. But I'll get into that in a sec. The third part that I've added is, or at least the third new part, is my Fanatec Podium DD1 wheelbase. It's a direct drive wheel. It mounts right here on the plate that came right with the Playseat racing seat. So everything mounted up just fine. It uses the same holes, the same mounting holes as my old CSR racing wheel from Fanatec. So I didn't have to change any of that. Literally bolted right in and it was fine. But as you can see, we get to the first problem, okay? And the first problem is the angle of this mount. You see that this Playseat has a fixed mount. It's on a single post right here that kind of goes between your legs. Your legs have to straddle it. That's been a problem for a lot of people who have owned this seat. Personally, I haven't had tremendous issues with it. Maybe it's just because my legs aren't quite as long as some other people. But I haven't had that much of an issue with that. But now that I have this new wheelbase, this new direct drive wheelbase, it's a problem. Take a look at this. Look how that just shakes all over the place. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the reason why it does that is because this seat was not made for a direct drive wheel. It was made for lighter duty stuff. When this came out, there was no such thing as direct drive wheels. At least I didn't know anything about them. It was for lighter, more toy-like stuff. You know, your lower end Logitech stuff. Again, the earlier Fanatec stuff. Even Microsoft's racing wheel that they had out back in the day. That's what this was made for. It wasn't made for this more heavy-duty stuff. And so it can barely even handle just the weight by itself. That's why it flexes so much. This direct drive wheelbase, I mean, this thing weighs about 30 pounds, you know? And so adding 30 pounds onto this, you just have a ton of flex. I'd always heard about stuff like that, but, you know, sometimes you kind of hope for the best and hope that what you have will work, it'll be just fine. And, well, unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that that is definitely a limitation. The other issue is the force feedback of a direct drive is very strong. I can't remember exactly what I have it set at, but I've got mine set at maybe like 40 or 45%, which is fairly low, but it's also fairly high for a rig like this. And Probably the reason why I can set it at that is because there's so much flex in this seat that it absorbs a lot of the force feedback that this direct drive wheelbase is able to provide. So because of that, it's just not a good matchup. Now, with all that being said, it is functional, and I'm making it work. I've got to make it work. I don't have a rig, another rig that I can mount all this stuff to. This is the only rig that I have, so I've got to make it work. And it does. It is functional. I can still enjoy myself. I can still have fun, excuse me. So, you know, if any of you guys have one of these play seats and you've been considering or thinking about stepping it up to some heavier duty or better, more immersive equipment, don't let that stop you. Just keep in mind that you probably will have to up the ante a little bit eventually if you don't do it first. You'll have to get a more rigid rig setup that you can do. I'm considering either an 80-20 setup where, you know, they're kind of like an erector set or what have you that you put together, or something else that's a little more pre-made, but I still haven't made up my mind yet. There are a couple of companies that I've been considering, and they are pricey though, so that is the first thing that I've got to, the first barrier that I've got to get across is, you know, just getting the money together for that is pricey. But once you get them, from what I understand, they're well worth it. They're very solid, they're rigid, they're made for equipment like all of this that I have so that you get the full benefit out of it. You know, you spend the money on this equipment, you can't skimp on the rig at the end of the day. So that is my next goal. That's what I'm working on doing. Who knows? Maybe I can even get a company to send me one that I can test out prior to purchasing, you know, and do a review on it here on my vlog. I don't know. We'll see. But, you know, overall, the rig it's good. It's good. It's fun. Sim racing is fun no matter what. You know, if you're considering it, go on ahead and jump in, give it a try. You don't have to go here. Again, I've been doing this for the last 8 years. No, I've been doing it longer than 8 years. I just had my previous Fanatec stuff for 8 years. I've actually been doing this probably for 10 or 11 years. So I didn't just go right into this. I worked my way up into it. I started off with some of the more less expensive stuff first, just so I could get a feel for it, enjoy it. And then, as with everything, once you get more into it, you start to grow more into the hobby. And so that's what I've been doing here, and that's what I've been sharing with you guys today. The last thing that I didn't mention to you that's on the rig is the Buttkicker. I did mention that before. That helps a lot as well. The wheelbase gives you the force feedback, so you feel when the tires are slipping, you feel the grain of the road, you feel as your car is accelerating. You can even feel the rumble of the engine in some cases. I mean, you get all kinds of tactile feedback from a wheel like this. And what the Buttkicker does is that just adds to it. That adds more of the road feeling, more of when your rear end is starting to slip out, that sort of stuff. I mean, it's... I waited a long time to add a Buttkicker to my setup, and it's 100% worth it. The combination of this, and not just this wheel, because I had it with my previous Fanatec wheel also, but the combination with any direct drive wheel, force feedback wheel, and that Buttkicker is amazing. Totally immersive. So another flaw of this seat, as you can see, I'm kind of skipping around, kind of you know, jumping around a little bit. I apologize for that. But another flaw is the pedal plate. It bolts up perfectly, and everything seems totally fine until it isn't. And what I mean by that is, as you can see, everything's very firm. You've got to really get on it. When you're racing and you've got to get on those brakes hard, it's like a real race car where you've got to push hard to get that thing to stop, or at least to slow down. Well, with all of that force, all that pressure that you're putting on the brake pedal, it also is adding pressure to this pedal plate down here. And while it has been totally fine, and I've never had a single issue with it with my previous setup, I had, I guess, what you could consider a failure not that long ago when I was testing out the system. Now, it was a fixable failure. It wasn't something where, you know, it broke or anything like that. But what happened was the brackets where the adjustment points are, I don't know if they just weren't tight anymore or what, but I was racing, got hard on the brake, and it just, the whole pedal plate just went flat. And so one of the benefits of this seat is it has the adjustable pedals so that you can get them right to the angle that you want. But one of the downsides is that it's not quite as strong as it needs to be. It too has some flex, so that's not optimal. And then again, I had a failure during a break-in period, during a trial period when I was testing out the pedals. I did really cinch those bolts up really tight now, and I haven't had an issue since. But even if the plate itself doesn't fail anymore and doesn't literally just totally collapse like it did, there's still a ton of flex on this. So you're just not getting you're just not getting the proper stability that you should have with a pedal set like this. So the wheelbase mount and the pedal plate mount, both of those are 2 points of this particular rig that just don't work with this setup of equipment. If you're getting lesser equipment, or at least not as robust, not as heavy equipment, this will work just fine. I mean, I think even the Fanatec CSW 2.5, I think it's not a direct drive wheel, but it's like a little bit lower. Actually, it's the next step below this wheelbase here. I think that one would probably work just fine on a rig like this. Yeah, some people might say that that it's still not going to be stable enough for that, but it's not as heavy, doesn't have as much force feedback as this does. So the fact that this is functional on here means that I think that could probably work. But at the end of the day, with the new equipment that's coming out now, this Playseat, it's kind of seeing its last days, and it's time for me to upgrade that now too. I don't know when that'll happen, so you know, just stay tuned as I continue with this vlog, and I can continue to show you my setup and some races and more of my setup, because this isn't it. This is literally just the I finally put everything together vlog, and you guys take a look at it, and hopefully you enjoy it. You know, in the next one, I'll show you guys a little bit more. I've got some other cool knickknacks and things that I use as well while I'm sim racing. Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe and hit that bell notification as well. Hit that bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever AutoAcademics posts a new video, and so that you won't miss what we have coming up next. Coming up next. It's late. As always, I record these at nighttime after everybody goes to bed, so I'm tired. And anyway, I'm rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Chris from AutoAcademics. Thanks for watching. Peace.